Thank you for watching. Thanks for your donations. Please like, subscribe, and share, or go to intoalltruth.net to get our appointed times calendar so you can keep
O Yahweh, open up you my lips, and let my mouth show forth your praise. Kuma, Yahweh, Wayaputso o Yaveka, Wayanuso misanecha mipaniacha. Kuma, Yahweh, Wayaputso o Yaveka, Wayanuso misanecha mipaniacha. Arise of you, O Yahweh. Let your enemies be scattered, and let those that hate thee flee from before thee. Let all of Yasharah, Yisrael, who love, worship, and praise Yahweh, give him thanks by saying Hallelujah.
All right. Shalom, shalom, family. Just put a 1 in the chat. If you can hear me okay. Just let me know if you can hear me. I probably, should have checked on that before I ran the intro. But, welcome, welcome. Hi, shalom, Kathy Harris. Shalom. Thank you so much, Kathy. Pilot J, Lisa E, my moderator, Kelly Perry. Baruch says, thank you for being here as always. even if sometimes you're at work and, you can't really answer. I know you're listening in, so praise Yah. So, excuse me, Bam. I just came from my run. And so if you hear me drinking or chomping some fruit, it's because I have to get something in my system. But this is going to kind of be it may end up being a 2-part series. Thank you so much, Sambukas, Eden. Thanks for coming. Shalom. Wonderful. Thanks, Pilot J, that you guys can hear me okay. I've got my mic set up. I'm still figuring this out. I do enjoy the lives. So I'm about to, kind of play the prayer for you here, fam. But just so you know, it may end up being a 2-part series. We'll see how far we get, what the energy levels are like. And, but we're just going to start with our Pesach. And I'm just going to repeat this because I kind of edited an intro for this. And so, yeah, let's just get into it. All right. Shalom, family, and welcome to Into All Truth. May the Ruach HaKodesh lead you into all truth and show you things to come. Abba Yah, we just thank you for a word of wisdom, revelation, knowledge, and understanding coming forth from you. We ask that you lead us into all truth and show us things to come. We thank you for the work you're doing by the Ruach HaKodesh in this teaching. And so, family, where was the first Passover ever celebrated? Well, it was celebrated in Egypt. But which Egypt? You may have noticed that they've come out with all of this information about the true technology that lies between the Pyramid of Giza in Africa, which today they call so-called Egypt. But is that the real Egypt? Is that the original Egypt? Is that the true old world Egypt? Where was the first Passover ever celebrated? When the people of Jerusalem had to flee and return home to their land. Well, I'm going to do a study on the Passover and how to keep it. But I'm also making this into a dual study. And I want you to share this video, family, like and share this video. We only seem to get minor promotion on the channel when you guys share this video and it gets around 2,000 views. Otherwise, my videos are not seen anywhere. So please share this video. I hate to ask you to do it, but I hope you would do it anyway. So anyway, family, let's get into this study on the Passover. And first, I'm going to give you a little teaser prelim on what they're teaching about the actual structure of the pyramids below. And you're going to find out once again, praise Yah, he had me teach on exactly what they were talking about, like about I don't know, 6 years ago. So I'm going to show you my video after we do the teaching on the Passover, because, first things first, we got to celebrate the Passover, give glory and honor to Yahuwah, and rehearse it in our minds and in our spirit so that we are fully prepared for the second Exodus. And so let's get into this study. But first, let's just tease on the information. And then afterwards, we're going to answer the final question as to why are they bringing out this information now? Family, they don't do anything for no reason. Yeah, you've guessed, it's a distraction. But why? All right, let's get into it.
You are literally not going to believe what they've just found underneath the Khafre, the middle pyramid in Giza. I can't believe it myself, but I'm going to show you. There was a press release yesterday in Italy from Filippo Biondi and Corrado Malanga. They have written a paper which has got all the results of their synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, which is a SAR radar scan. So basically using sound waves, I believe, they have scanned deep inside the middle pyramid and all underneath the structure. And then from the results, they are able to create like 3D models of what they think the sound waves are showing. And I can't talk, I'm so excited. So underneath the pyramid, they have found 8 huge cylindrical structures that are aligned perfectly in twos. And there's 4 pairs of them, and they go deep into the earth. So this is the 3D recreation of what the SAR scan shows. So you can see these 8 cylindrical pillars that go deep down, and then each pillar is surrounded by like a circular path or walkway or tube. Okay, this is not all. This is the beginning of it. Not only that, at the very base of the pyramid, like ground zero of the pyramid in the center, they have found 5 of these kind of stacked chambers, which are identical, look like they're kind of identical in size and form as the king's chamber of the Khufu pyramid, the one next door. So these are made with huge blocks of granite, red granite that was brought hundreds of miles away to the Giza plateau and stacked very specifically in this sort of horizontal sandwich with a convex, oh my gosh, what's the roof? The roof's on the wonk, there we are. A vaulted ceiling, I'm way too excited. So 5 of them, 5 of these chambers just chilling in the middle of the pyramid, and then 8 cylindrical, massive underground structures that go deep down. And what is under that? I'll show you. So 4 of these cylindrical structures dropping deep down into the earth, they go into 2 square sort of chambers, 2 square empty spaces, which are 80 meters by 80 meters wall to wall. Each of these square chamber walls is 80 meters identically all the way around. Perfect square chambers with 4 cylindrical shafts going into them, or pillars, whatever they are, cylindrical structures with winding, coiled, maybe a walkway. We're not exactly sure. This is just what is showing up from the scans. Oh, and I'm sorry, did I tell you how deep these cylindrical tubes go under the pyramid? 648 meters. 648 meters under the main pyramid. And then you hit the 80-meter 2 chambers, and then this is a map of the whole of the Giza plateau. So in the center, wait, I'm going to move. This here is the chambers that are in the center pyramid. The cylindrical chambers going down to whatever's going on 648 meters down here. There is evidence that there are more structures that go on for 2 kilometers underneath the Giza plateau, all interconnecting underneath all 3 pyramids. And apparently there's going to be more press releases. This is just the beginning. The team are going to do some more press. This is so very exciting. One thing I will say is that the idea that the pyramid was just a tomb for a dead pharaoh, why would you need 648 meters of perfectly aligned north to south pillars that go into an antechamber that then connect to an underground network of stuff? It's a bit excessive, isn't it? Just for a tomb. I'm going to be following this very closely, and if I find out anything more, I will bring you the information. I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy hunting.
See, it's all right, fam. So we're just going to put a pause on that for now. And welcome, family. Thanks so much for showing up with your likes and everything. And I'm going to just add
So
the teaching here to the, sorry about that, to the, we're just going to review the teaching on why we celebrate Passover and unleavened bread and when it starts, because it's a little bit technical. And I'm learning new things every single year. Yah teaches me something new about the calendar. So basically, we're going to review the lesson so we understand how to keep the Passover. The unleavened bread really starts tomorrow Eve because it's the eve of Passover. But we're going to find out Yahusha was, the lamb is sacrificed during the day, and then it's eaten in the evening of the 14th day, which so on the Shabbat. There's also a fast between the first eve of unleavened bread all the way to the eating of the Passover, which is when Yahusha died, in that period where you fast. So we'll get into it. Shalom, Tracy. I'm going to play this teaching as a review. And fam, I'm just still sending out my email for this teaching. Yah has me kind of flying in the spirit a little bit more again these days. So it's lots of fun, but it's not always going to be, the most organized, but I think it's going to be more anointed than anything. So praise Yah for that. So let's get into this teaching. And then at the end of the teaching, depending on how the feedback I'm getting from you guys and the spirit and how long the study's going, then we will wrap up with the question about where is true Egypt? Why are they, obscuring? Why are they promoting this big expose on the pyramids of Giza? And we'll just, it's pretty obvious it's a distraction, but let's focus first here on why we celebrate Passover when, and, family, I really love these appointed times. I'm just always so blessed in them, and I hope you will be too. So let's put the greatest focus on this part of the lesson, because it's all about Yah, Yahusha, and Mashiach, and we just give him the glory. Hallelujah. So let me just cue this up a bit.
How it goes. So welcome, family. And I'm doing this live today because we have got to do this Passover. And so I'm going to be using the Hebrew calendar. And we are going to discuss Pesach, the Passover. I had a lovely guest on here and a few weeks ago just discussing it. And I learned a lot from him, and he confirmed some things for me because, I was very concerned about the eclipse not timing properly with the Passover, and the Exodus, etc. But got a lot of confirmation in that study. So go ahead and take a look at it. We're going to review some of that in this study because it was 4 hours long, that study. And this one, praise Yah, I would just want to be in here for about an hour if I can, family. So hopefully I can do that in the name of Yahusha, I'm praying.
So fam, I'm also going to refer to the current calendar that we have up on the site. And, I usually have to make a couple of adjustments after I do a study. And so always go back and check, maybe over the weekend, because I'll probably do some revisions today or tomorrow, and just go into the membership file to get your update or your revision. And if you've recently purchased a calendar and you want to get the update or revision, just send me an email and I'll send you into this special link for people to get who did a single purchase. However, if you get the calendar and the lifestyle book, which is all about fasting and good recipes and how to make the unleavened bread and all that good stuff, it's a really good lifestyle book. And if you get the two of them, then I just make you an automatic member. And that's usually the best way to go. So if you end up saying, okay, guess what? I'm going to go purchase the lifestyle book. And Rachel, I already got the calendar. Just let me know and I'll make you a member. Okay. And a membership is really just supporting my ministry. And you get updated, resource materials. And sometimes I put out PDFs of my teachings, depending on whether I have the time, because you know me, I'm Miss Workaholic, although is shifting that. So we're going to be flying a lot here. But all right, so let's continue with the study. And like I said, I'm going to break and switch over to the actual calendar that we're in this year. But this was last year's study. And, they're very technical. And even I forget what I taught. I have to review it because it's so intricate. And yet it's simple at the same time, but not anybody can teach the calendar. You can't learn the calendar in 1 year. You can't teach it and learn it and create one in 1 year or 2 years. It takes a long time to figure it out, fam. So be careful of anybody who's just kind of figuring something out. It isn't that they don't have good intentions, it's that this is math that be mathin'. It's not just for anybody to teach and stuff. All right. So let's continue with the study, fam, and thanks for your patience, Baruch.
So here we have the picture of Yahusha at the Passover. I get these online. You can go to my Into All Truth on Pinterest, and you can see all the images that I use in the videos that I find. That's why I don't monetize these videos generally, but I do buy some of them. So this is one of the ones I bought. So if you want to go and get this, you can go to Pinterest to find it on my Live Light Well Into All Truth on Pinterest. So family, we're just going to talk about Preparation Day, which is today, and it is the Last Supper Day, which is different from Passover.
So Preparation Day is tomorrow, family. I did this video last year on actual Preparation Day.
And this is what I mean. We're always learning, family, and I always update the calendar. And so that's why it's best to get a membership, because I will update the calendar. And then when you get a membership, you can just go into the members page and get the updates. Although, if you do buy a calendar, then I will try to send you an update, but it's a lot easier if it's just in the members page once you become a member, and that's more consistent support for my ministry. And so it helps me. And you can just do like 10, 15, 25 Canadian a month. It comes out to less than American. So 30% less. So you got 30% off. So we're going to talk about Preparation Day, which is Friday, is always Preparation Day for the Shabbat, so-called Friday, or the 6th day. And it's also the Preparation Day for Passover and unleavened bread. And it is also the Last Supper. All right? And so Yahusha was literally being prepared and preparing with his disciples. And so we're going to discuss, how we have to remove the leaven from your home. I'm going to read through the lesson, but that's something we have to do. We always sound the shofar on each of these appointed days. So it would be on, obviously, today, because it is the Last Supper, then tomorrow, which is both Passover and the first day of unleavened bread. This evening will be the eve of unleavened bread. And so that is when they celebrated the
the Last Supper. So let me just show you guys this, fam. So here's the latest calendar. All right. And so tomorrow, which I was talking about, which is Friday, that is, I keep saying today, but like I said, this is last year's video and I'm reviewing the study with you. So tomorrow is preparation day, and Friday is always so-called Friday, or fifth day is always, or sixth day, sorry, is always preparation day. And that is what the Last Supper basically is. And then we're going to come on over to Shabbat, which is going to be the actual Passover day. And there's also a special eclipse on this day, which I updated today in the calendar. And just FYI, this calendar started on the full moon. All right. So there's a lot of really interesting, just like last year, signs of the times, really, the sun and the moon and the stars really lining up in these times. So I just want everyone to be clear, if you just take a look at this picture here, that, to be very, very clear, it's just so no one gets confused. Tomorrow, Friday, is the beginning of the holiday, the beginning of unleavened bread in the evening. Okay, so the eve of the Passover. Okay, so once again, today is, tomorrow's going to be the 28th. Today's 27th. Tomorrow is preparation day, which is also the eve of Passover, and it is when unleavened bread starts. All right, so I just want to be clear about that, fam. Just ultimate, ultra clear. All right.
Was the eve of unleavened bread. So when the sky was evening. Now we're going to have bread and grape juice or wine, and it is unleavened bread. There's a lot of debates about that, but it's identical to the showbread. We'll show you the examples for that. You prepare and cook the Passover lamb during the day on Shabbat. You're allowed to cook and prepare. You're functioning as a priest. You're functioning as a Levite. So you're preparing your own offering, because I believe that was pointing to the kingdom of priests. And you celebrate the whole week of unleavened bread. You only have unleavened bread. You get all the leaven out of your house. That includes like baking soda. That includes fermented foods. That includes vinegars like apple cider vinegar, balsamic vinegar. If you have even hydrogen peroxide in your house. Once I was cleaning something for Passover with hydrogen peroxide. It started bubbling, and I didn't even think about it. And I ate it, and I got such a stomach ache, and it was because hydrogen peroxide is a leaven. Okay, so something like that, you have to get out of the house: baking soda, baking powder, yeast, anything fermented, miso pastes, soy sauce, all those things you got to get out. I just put them in a cooler outside of the house, or in my garage, or if you have a little fridge, which who does? Nobody's that rich. But anyway, I'll just put ice in the cooler. Or I use, those ice block things you keep in your freezer, and you can just go and keep putting them in to keep everything cool over the days. And it's still a bit cool out, at least up in the Pacific Northwest. And now you prepare the Passover lamb, as I said, during the day on the Shabbat. But oops, I'm sorry, I forgot this part. After you do the unleavened bread, I'm going to go over it all again, but after you do the unleavened bread Last Supper thing for Yahusha, today on preparation day. So for some of you on the East Coast and stuff, that's going to be, you're preparing today, and then in the evening when the sky is even twilighty, you're going to eat your bread and wine and read the required scriptures and everything. But after that, you fast, and you fast all day until the Passover feast, because we're going to find out the disciples fasted, once Yahusha went to the Garden of Gethsemane and he went to the cross. They were so distressed, they all went into fasting mode. So you fast right up until the Passover feast the next eve. Okay, so that's how it works. And so on the Passover, you prepare, as I said, during the day while you're fasting, the lamb and the food, and then you eat it in the night, in the evening twilight, and you sing the song of Exodus. You could sing the song of Moses. You can sing any of those 144,000 kind of songs that I've mentioned in other studies. And then you do the week of unleavened bread up until the following Shabbat, which is the last day of unleavened bread, the so-called Friday, is a Shabbat. Okay, so that is required to do. And then you have a Shabbat, which is on the SATUR, so-called seventh day Saturday, right? And then you have first fruits, where you do a heave offering of some barley. So you got to go get some barley in the sheaf, and you got to heave it up. You can also just probably stick it in, a piece of linen cloth, some barley seeds, and then heave them up. Okay, so that's a short rundown. I'm going to go, is everybody doing okay? Just give me a shalom and hit that like button, family, if you will. Shalom. I'm off because I thought Passover was last week. Well, we're going to go a little bit into this calendar, but the study is also up from last week, family. So for that went into the months. Now, what I use, fam, is I use the Enochian calendar, the Enochian calendar. All right. I do not use the same Enochian calendar that Jediah Malik uses. He starts on a Wednesday. We start on first day. And so there's a lot of people following that Wednesday Jewish Enochian calendar, but I don't follow that because Yas told me, revealed to me that the first day is the first day. We don't count from the fourth day to the seventh day with 3 numbers. He's an Elohim of order. So we'll briefly go into that because I want to explain to you, again, a bit about the calendar to encourage you to understand it and understand the times, because as we know, the Moedim are rehearsals for times. So now, family, I'm going to try and see your comments. I'm watching on my phone as well, but I'm going to take over my screen with this calendar. So let's get into it. And I'm going to go to the very beginning of this calendar so you can get a sense of what's going on here. Okay. All right. So here is the Moedim into All Truth calendar, family. And I'm just going to see if I can see you guys. I'm going to turn my volume down on my phone. Hopefully it won't be too loud. All right, so I can see that. Shalom, everybody. And just thumbs up. And if you can, it really helps to promote my channel. I'm always in trouble. But I appreciate you guys being here and your interest in learning. All right, so this is the calendar. And, as we know, the Moedim are Kodesh, set apart times that we celebrate every year at the exact same time. The exact same time. So we don't rely on the moon because the moon is inconsistent. It has cycles which are around 10 years, and then it repeats them 10 years apart. So there's many reasons why we use the sun, and maybe I'll touch on some of them. But today, I really want to emphasize how we divide the time. And this is important to understand because when we divide the times, family, let me just check in on you, fam.
Family, one thing I want to say here is that when we're talking about celebrating the Passover, yes, we can absolutely celebrate the Passover here in the land of captivity, which I say is Egypt, because where was it first celebrated? In Egypt. But there can be a lot of confusion about this because the true seasons and everything are called out of true Israel itself, which is back in the land, back where true Jerusalem is. However, the first Passover was celebrated in the West in actual Egypt. And we're repeating that. It's Machpelah, return again. So, if you're in Africa, you are, obviously heading towards tabernacles. And when we get back there, we will probably, who knows whether we're going to be in Passover or Egypt when we get back there, depending on what Yah is determining. And that's why nobody really knows when this is going to be, because it's like, is it east side or west side? So by, calendar, which calendar is it? So because it's winter, heading into winter now in Africa, and we're heading into spring here in the West. But we're in the West. This is where the first Passover was celebrated, and we are rehearsing it because we're going to have another Exodus. And so that's why we can, in good conscience, celebrate it here. So I just wanted to make that clear if there's any Africans who are watching this. And, I do have a few people who watch my channel who are in Africa, and they're like, no, we're heading towards tabernacles. And that's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, and I already went over the leap week. I just did a little brief teaching on it. It's a short video I posted last week. And because the actual day moves throughout the entire month. Hey, Shalom Azaryahu. Welcome, brother. I'm so good to see you here. And I don't know, I may invite some people up, but we'll see how the time goes, because I've been interrupting a lot. So I really don't want to take up too much of your time. And that's why, fam, there might be a part 2 if I'm pressing in on your time too much. All right. So basically the day moves. But there's a short video I've already done on that. And maybe, Eloa, if you want to bring me back to that question at the end of the lesson, we'll go back into it. Or if there's a part 2, maybe we'll go into it before that. But we'll just see how it goes. Let's keep going with this.
Just want to see your comments here. All right. Shalom. Shalom. Taisikas. Shalom. Okay, I'm just looking at you guys. Please thumbs up, family. Thumbs up. All right. So let's just go over the day. Everything has its origins in the first day of the week. All right. And so since then, the calendar was moved forward 7 days at a time. So the calendar begins with a day, day 1, a Shabua, which is like a week. Okay. And a Shabbat, which is the 7th day of the week. Okay. And it becomes a month, a Kodesh set apart division of the year, which is usually 1/12 of the year, always 1/12 of the year. And so Yahuwah says that he is Yahuwah our Elohim. He changes there not. Therefore, the sons of Jacob are not consumed. So he's consistent. We can trust him. We can rest in him. We can rely on him. And in Genesis 1:4, it says, Yahuwah saw the light, that it was good, and he divided between the light and the darkness. And he called the light day, and the darkness he called light night. And the evening, there was evening and there was morning, and that was the first day. So he created in darkness, okay? And he used Yahusha to do that, and his own blood to create creation. And then he created light on the first day. So there was evening towards bright light. All right. And so that was the first day. And we don't add to the word which Yahuwah commanded, and we don't take away from it. And we know that if we take away any of the words of this book, then we will have our part taken away from the book of life. So we want to be really careful. We don't want to have what Proverbs 20:10 says, differing weights and measures, which are an abomination to Yahuwah. So he is not inconsistent. We don't add to or take away from the calendar. We don't add a day one year. We don't add a month another year. We don't, you know what I mean? This is what the Gregorian calendar does, and it has 23 hours and 56 minutes and 4.91 seconds each day. And so that's how it steals a day every year. And I actually did a calculation on that, family, and it was like, I think I did another one adding up all the days, and it turned out that 2013 would have been 2019. Like they literally stole 6 years. So Yahuwah likes to measure time in multiples of 7 or 12s or divisions of 3. Okay. So the Yom is 24 hours, 1,444 minutes. As I said, the month there's 12 of them that are set apart. And you'll hear the word Shabua or Shabbat, which is almost like Sheba, which means a week or 7 days. And Shabuot is a 7-year period because time is measured in sevens, so weeks of years. That's Shabuot is a week of years. And the Shabbaton is what we're going to talk about today. And it's very curious because you notice how everything has Shabbat because that's all referencing seven. Seven. It's all referencing the number seven. That's why when I'm interpreting prophecy and everything, I'm like looking for those sevens because that's the day of rest. That's the time Yahuwah took to create creation, and then he rested on the seventh day, and the 1,000-year reign will be on the seventh day. It will be a time of rest, the second reign of Israel with Yahushua on the throne. And so we always want to pay attention to sevens because they're also times of release. We have the Pentecost, which is really called Shavuot. So it would have the Shab in the beginning again, which is 7. And that is when debts are released. And the years, every 7 years, you also have a release of debts and obligations. And so even the period when we do these celebrations, sorry, some of it's hidden, but we're going to cover it again, so don't worry about it, family. The 7-day festivals, or Moedim is really what they're called, meetings, appointments with Yah, are called Shabbaton. They're periods of rest. And every single appointed time, almost all of them line up with the Shabbat, because it is the primary day. And so for this reason, if you keep the Shabbat according to the Enochian calendar, you should be able to keep all the appointed times. All right, so that should give you some confidence and clear up some confusion or worry, really. And so festivals or Moedim like Pesach, Tabernacles, Hanukkah usually last for about 7 days. Hence, we have the Shabbat in them. Oftentimes, they will also have an extra Shabbat, which is on the 8th day. Why is this? Because as I've shown you, and if you get this calendar, what you'll see in the very end of this calendar is you'll see the meaning of all of these numbers. And the 8th day is the eternal rest. That means for eternity we'll be with Yah. So it's quite a celebration. And this is also the day that Adam was placed in the garden to live for eternity, forever. All right, so that's what the 8th day symbolizes. And so when we are looking at the Shabua, the Moedim, the appointed times and festivals and feasts, Yah will add on a day for an extra Shabbat. But these periods or festival periods are called Shabbaton. And really, in the secular world, they'll use the word sabbatical. So professors, etc., are often told, hey, take a sabbatical every 7 years to do some intellectual work, to work on your thesis or whatever. And it was actually pretty common in the 70s and 80s and stuff, and 50s and stuff, that professors and teachers and even CEOs and stuff would do this, take a sabbatical. And so it's really a period of rest, even beyond 1 day. And it's kind of a way to recognize the entire festival. And this is really important because it helps us to understand the true Passover that Yahusha did. All right, and in the calendar, there is an explanation of the day, and I might do some teachings. I'm going to try and do more regular teachings on this for those who are buying and using the calendar or who are members, just to get better understanding about it, okay, about what the day is. But we're going to just jump ahead so that you can get a clear understanding. The day is divided by 364 days. Each month is 30 days, and then for the third month of every quarter, there's an extra day, and that's a transitional seasonal day when you actually fast. And it's not counted anytime you're reading prophecy. It's you count a year as 360 days, like 360 degrees, a full circle. You don't count 4 days. So when you're reading a prophecy and it says 1,260 days, you're not going to divide that by 364. You're going to divide it by 360. And so the summer, winter, spring, and um, fall equilux divide the year. And why do I say equilux? Because it's a time of equal light. And these are anchored around the seasons and the change of seasons. And these also line up with the Big Dipper because we use the sun and the moon and the stars. They are for signs and seasons. And so the Big Dipper also lines up with these seasonal transitions. So it's another reference. All right, I hope that makes sense. And so this is another indicator of how we divide time. We already talked about the length of the days and spring equinox. All of these equinoxes are equal light. It's not the equinox, why, which our lovely teacher last week taught us. The equinox is really after the equal light days. It comes afterwards. And so you find that in National Geographic version 2012. It says the true days of day and night equality always fall before the vernal equinox, after the autumnal or fall equinox. So you can see that they are a certain, like probably about a week off. And so that's why we go by equal light, equal lux. All right. I hope that helps, family. And so we're going to move ahead to the actual Passover. And we're going to talk about what is involved in the Passover. We're going to see that today is preparation day. And there's actually, references that other teachers have to that they've found and learned that the Passover, the Last Supper was actually on what they called preparation day. They said, oh, they would do a preparation day. There's a Jewish document out there before the Passover, and this was really the Last Supper. And so that's how they were able to find out that there was a preparation day before the actual Pesach. But in fact, in our calendar, we know, family, and we understand when we set up the calendar that before every Shabbat, every so-called Friday, which is the eve of Shabbat, you have preparation day. You have preparation day before every Shabbat. You clean your house, you prepare your food for the Shabbat, and you rest in the eve, and then you do your 12-hour Shabbat day the next day. So this is actually, it is what it is. It's preparation day. And this is the day on which the Last Supper falls. All right? Falls on preparation day. And that makes perfect sense because Yahusha was being prepared and he was preparing his disciples. And so what we're going to do is, I think at this point, I'm going to launch into the study. And so now something I want to say here, family, is everybody doing okay? Am I making sense? Are you understanding? Do you have any questions so far? Because this is a live. I haven't done a live for a really long time, but let me know if you can hear me okay. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a thumbs up, like, and share, family. And let me know, please, are you okay to this point? Are you understanding? Is there any questions that you have? I'm going to look for them here in the chat. So something that I've found, and I keep repeating this, is that I'm always learning more about the calendar and I always am updating it. And one of the things that people just don't understand is that the current translation of the Bible we have is a Greek translation. It's a Greek translation, and the Bible would have originally been written in Hebrew, Yahusha spoke Hebrew. We know for a fact historically it was written first in Hebrew. But the Christians, the Greeks, believe it was written in Greek. I don't know why it be written in Greek when they were captive to Rome and when they were still living in Judea. So, but nonetheless, that's the mythology. And so I think there are some things that are kind of off in the translation. So when we get to Matthew, hold on one second, fam, I got to take a sip, but we're going to look at Matthew 26 and 17. Sorry, fam. I always have to drink when I'm teaching because I get really dry. I'm having some juice. All right, family. So it says now on the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the disciples came to Yahusha saying to him, "Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover?" And he said, "Go ye to the city to such and such a man, and say to him, the master saith, my time is at hand, and I will keep the Passover at thine house with my disciples." And the disciples did as Yahusha had given them charge and made ready the Passover. And so then I'm using Matthew and Luke. And so it says, and so they went and found as he had said unto them and made ready the Passover. And when the hour was come, he sat down with the 12 apostles with him. Then he said unto them, I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say to you, henceforth I will not eat of it any more until it be fulfilleth in the kingdom of Elohim. And he took the cup and gave thanks and said, take this and divide it among you. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the first of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of Elohim be come. And he took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it and gave to them, saying, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Likewise also after supper, he took the cup, saying, this cup is my New Testament or renewed covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. All right, so why did I go into all of that? Well, it says the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. What we're really talking about here, family, is he's moving into the eve of Passover. Okay, so they do this the eve of Passover. So as I said in the beginning, the evening and the morning were the first day. So in the evening, they are beginning the actual Passover day. And so they're and the unleavened bread day. So they are taking that bread in that evening when the sky becomes twilight. So it actually is the first day, but they had to do their preparation during the day. And so this is why it says, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? So this is how we know they're on what? Preparation day. All right? Amen. And so he sends them to go ahead and do this. They make ready the Passover. So they're doing preparation of the Passover bread towards the Passover day. And then it says the hour was come, and he sat down and the 12 apostles with him. So now they're into the evening when the sky is twilight. And then he says, I've earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. And so he's only taking the bread. We don't know if he had lamb. We don't know what they say, but I believe that this is the Last Supper. And so he says that he won't be eating this wine until he passes on or eats it in the kingdom on earth. And so he breaks the bread and he divides it among them. Well, sorry, fam, I made a mistake. He took the cup, gave thanks, and said, take this and divide it among you. And then he takes the bread and he breaks it and says, this is my body, which was given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Now, other translations say that he holds it up. So he is being offered up as a heave offering, which is what the priests usually do. And so this is what you're going to do. You're going to take the cup of wine and you're going to eat the bread and you're going to break it because his body is broken, right? And you're going to dedicate that to him. All right? You're going to give thanks for him breaking his body and shedding his blood for you. And then after the supper, you do the same thing again, because this is his New Testament in blood, which was shed for you. So it's almost like you have blood sealing either side of the Passover, Last Supper, which is before unleavened bread and before the Passover. So you have blood at the beginning, the cup of blood, and you have blood at the end. So this is the double blessing. All right, we see these twos a lot of times. And the word that is used for the bread, because I thought it was leavened bread, but I didn't find any evidence for it, especially in the Hebrew. But the word that is used is Bethlehem. So it's actually the house of bread. So it's curious, he holds up the cup twice because we know Israel's going to have to return again. It's going to happen a second time that they actually return to the land and return to the Messiah and have a second Exodus. But this is also symbolizing the northern and southern kingdom. All right? Because what? This is Bethlehem. It's the house of bread. That's Israel. So it's even their sacrifice he's speaking to. All right? And so his body is literally lifted up, as I said. And the word autoros, this kind of bread, is a bread that is raised up. It's the show bread, which is used in the temple. And look at these words: to take up, to take away, away with, to lift up, to bear. So he's bearing sin. He's going to be taken away. He's going to be taken up. All right? Interesting, huh? And lachem, the showbread used in the temple, also means to do battle. So, you know, sometimes the Ish people cheers and they go, lachem, do battle. Because what? The kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. So Yahusha is about to do battle against hell and death. All right? And he goes to the Garden of Gethsemane afterwards because it means olive press. And it's actually in the translation, not in the translation, but right in the scripture, it says that he went to the Mount of Olives. So he went to the olive press when he was praying in the garden. All right? And we know this is where the waters of life will flow out with the new fountain of life in the kingdom in the 1,000-year reign. And so darkness then covers the earth. See if this will obey me. All right, this application I'm using. And so, family, do you have any questions? Does that give you some understanding on what we do for unleavened, the eve of Passover and unleavened bread, actually what we would call the Last Supper? It is the Last Supper. All right, it's different from the actual Passover day. It's the Last Supper. And I used to teach otherwise, but from doing this teaching, I now understand this is the Last Supper.
Fam, so as I just asked, are there any questions? Are there any questions? I'm reading Malachia's comment. I'm thinking about me and Kelly's discussion the other day. I'm not going to go into that, but only those who are circumcised can take part in the Passover, and Abraham had to circumcise all of his servants to participate in it. And one law for Israel as well as the other nations. And so if the other nations want to participate, they have to be circumcised, actually. That's what the Torah says. The Christians might say, oh, that's a circumcision of the heart. You guys can decide on your own. This is always a debate between the spiritual versus the natural. But anyway, let's keep going. I don't see any questions, so let's keep going.
And hallelujah to the teachers who have given me clarification on this. All right, so that was the Last Supper. You do it in the evening of preparation day. All right, I don't see any questions. So family, if you don't have any questions, I'm going to move on. And then we can have questions at the end. All right. So now Yahusha goes in for the slaughter. He's taken by the priests. And let me just hold on one second here. I'm trying to figure out if we should read it through or not. So I'm going to read from you from the Gospel of Peter, the fragment that we covered also in the last calendar study a week or so ago, a couple of weeks ago. And to understand the timing of this, we find out that it was when the Sabbath was dawning. So Yahusha he goes into the Garden of Gethsemane, and then he is sacrificed between the 3, 6, and 9th hour. And I put here Luke 23 and 44 says that darkness covered the whole earth in the midst of this, and then the sun returned afterwards. So it's very symbolic. He was sacrificed in the day, he went into darkness, and then sun returned again upon his death. All right? And so then his body was begged. It says of Herod said, Brother Pilate, even if none had begged for him, we should have buried him, since it is also the Sabbath dawneth. So what they're talking about is, for it is written in the law that the sim should not set upon one that had been slain. So in other words, the sun, or the dividing of the night and day, the sun should not set upon one who has been slain. And he delivered him unto the people before the first day of unleavened bread, even their feast. So this was on the day of unleavened bread, but the feast you do at twilight. All right? And so what it says in this book also right here is it says, and they also fasted. Okay? It says, and he took Yahuwah, and he washed him and wrapped him in linen and brought him to his own sepulchre, which is called the Garden of Joseph. And besides all these things, we were fasting, and we sat mourning and weeping night and day until the Sabbath. So what are they saying here? So they had the Last Supper in the evening on preparation day today. Then overnight, he was interrogated, checked for flaws. Then during the day, he was slaughtered. So they started fasting after their meal, during the Garden of Gethsemane, during Yahusha's interrogation, during Yahusha's slaughter on the tree. They have fasted. And then in the evening is when you eat the sacrifice. So in the evening, in the twilight on, just like is commanded, and we're going to read it in a second, just like is commanded for Pesach, that evening they ate the lamb, the roast lamb, and they ate the unleavened bread, because then you would get up with your unleavened bread and you would have left in the Exodus that night in the evening. All right? And so this is also so Yahusha is in the tomb at this time. And interesting, once he's put in the tomb, according to Luke 23 and 44, the women go to the tomb. They don't touch him. You're not allowed to touch a dead body during the sacrifice. And they looked on the body, looked at it wrapped in linen cloth, laid in a tomb hewn out of a rock, wherein was man never yet laid. And that day was the preparation, and Sabbath drew on. So now this is the preparation of this actual sacrifice. It is slaughtered on Passover, on the 14th, Shabbat, tomorrow. Okay? That's the preparation of the actual lamb. Okay?
Now, remember, family, in this lesson, the Shabbat is day after tomorrow. All right? Now, family, I want you guys to answer a question for me. I have 40 people viewing right now. It's like, when I'm teaching like this, I find that Torah teaching, people just do not want to listen to Torah teaching. They just don't. They don't. I'm like breaking this down. It's so detailed. And I'm like, is this like boring you to death? So it's like, to me, it's interesting and it's very important so that we understand the sequence of events, because there's so many lies that we've been taught by the Gentiles. And so what we really find is that it's after the Shabbaton that these ladies come back to the tomb, because there's certain days where they would be violating the Shabbat. And so this is really important to know and understand so you're not deceived. And especially if somebody went into this and you weren't strong in your faith and they began to dissect that, no, he wasn't raised on Sunday and died on Good Friday, or raised on, all the stuff they come up with, you might get confused. So anyway, just put your comments in the chat, family, because I'm like, is this too intricate for you? Because I teach this calendar and then I get people just going with the moon calendar. And it's like, these details, really, these kinds of details, not specifically with the sun and the moon and the Enochian calendar, but these are what distinguish the understanding of the calendar. Because this lines up with absolutely everything I have been teaching since I've been teaching this calendar. And so it's very, very important. But this is like the depth of understanding. Like it gets to be like math and physics if you're teaching this. So somebody just saying, oh, it's the new moon, it's really people who just don't want to be bothered with learning. And I'm seeing these numbers, and I know I kind of have the mature audience, and I have the self-study group, like, who pursue Yah on their own big time, and then they just come in here for a check-in. So it just may be that the pickings are small because the remnant is few. All right, let's keep going.
And so now it's drawing towards night when you actually eat the lamb. So the women followed after him from Galilee and beheld the sepulchre, how his body was laid, and they returned and prepared odors and ointments and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment. So he was put in the tomb, and they went back and they prepared all the oils and everything for him, for his deceased body. And they would have eaten the offering. Okay. And also the sepulchre is sealed and all of that. And then he raises up after the Shabbaton. Okay. So the women again appear. Luke it says the first day of the week. This is actually first fruits. And they bring these spices that they had prepared with him after this Shabbaton. The word here is Shabbaton. We went over this last week, and it's what I went over with you at the beginning. It is the period of feasting. So over the period of feasting, they obeyed Pesach. Who wouldn't be in a state of conviction to obey all these commands, because the Savior just died? So they obeyed everything, and then they returned to anoint his body, because once again, this is a 7-day sequence of Moedim, like Pesach, Tabernacles, or Hanukkah. It's translated into sabbatical. Once again, these are special Shabbats called Shabbat or Shabbaton, which are more than a regular Shabbat, a weekly Shabbat. These are special Shabbats because their position is seventh in sequence, and not because they have a special characteristic of a particular day. The Shavah week is tied to the 7th year of rest. So it's tied to 7 days of rest. And it says, and as well, the 8th day. And there's no difference between festivals and Shabbat, save only the matter of preparing food. So you are allowed to prepare the offering during the day on the Passover day, which is when they killed Yahusha, right? And they're able to prepare that offering into the night. That's what the priest does. And so it's a kingdom of priests. And so I know that was kind of technical, family, so please ask me questions. But basically, today you eat unleavened bread and you have the wine and you can have a meal in the evening of the skies. And the evening of the skies looks like twilight. Okay? It's kind of a purpley sky when there's a line in the sky and the sun has gone down. But you prepare towards that. And then you just eat it in the evening. You eat it in the in-between. All right. So let's go over the Passover. So one of the songs obviously you sing is you sing the song of Passover. You read Exodus 15. All right. And also the Song of Solomon too would be a good one to sing, and the Song of Moses, because this is preparing you for the Exodus. So the Song of Passover is here in the calendar. I included it. And here's the instructions right out of Exodus. And Yahuwah spoke unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months, and it shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th of this month, let them take each man a lamb. Speak unto the congregation of Israel. Let every man take unto him a lamb according to the house of their fathers. Now, remember I said how that referenced the 144,000, the males. All right? And it shall be a lamb unblemished, a male of a year old. Ye shall take it of the lambs and the kids, and it shall be kept by you till the 14th of this month. And all the multitude of the congregation of the children of Israel shall kill it toward evening. You see what I'm saying? So remember, he died toward evening in the 9th hour, right? So this is where we're tightening this up. And they shall take of the blood, and they shall put it on the 2 doorposts in the lintel in the houses whichsoever they shall eat them. And they shall eat the flesh in this night. So you eat it in the night, you prepare it towards the night, you eat it in the night, roast with fire, and they shall eat unleavened bread with bitter herbs. All right? So you're preparing it this day, and then into the night you eat it. Why? Because if you're in the Exodus, you're about to leave after you've got a full stomach with meat. And it says, in the houses whichsoever they shall eat them, and they shall eat the flesh in this night, roast with fire, and they shall eat unleavened bread with bitter herbs. So now you eat the bitter herbs, family. You eat the bitter herbs for the bitterness that you experience here in Babylon, and that you might have experienced in Egypt had you lived way back then. All right? And it also detoxifies the body. Remember what I said? Lamb's blood is a actual anti-serum for venom, snake venom. So it's good for you to eat lamb. Even if you're vegetarian or vegan, just try to be obedient to do it. If you can stomach it or you believe it, to just do it for these appointed times. You shall not eat of it raw or sodden in water. So don't boil it. Only roast with fire. So you can roast it in your oven. And the head with the feet and the appurtenances. So the whole thing, because Yahusha is a whole offering. Every part of him is pure and perfect. Nothing shall be left of it till the morning. And if anything's left, burn it with fire. All right? And in the darkness before the next day. So Jubilees corresponds with this. Jubilees 49. 49 is 7 times 7, time of release. Remember the commandment which Yahuwah commanded you concerning the Passover, that you should celebrate it in season on the 14th of the first month, that you should kill it before it is evening. So you're killing in the daytime. Remember, that's when they killed him, towards the evening, that you should eat it by night on the evening of the 15th from the time of the setting of the sun. So you see what I'm saying? So the day before, they were eating the evening of the Passover. So Yahusha did celebrate it with them because it was the evening towards the Passover. And now they're eating the Passover and unleavened bread in the evening towards the 15th. I hope I'm making sense, family. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. I think it's pretty clear. but I had to do this research to completely confirm it. And so let's get even tighter on this. Let's get even clearer on it. Eat it not raw, nor sodden with water, but roast with fire, and the whole thing. Now, family, how many of us can get a whole lamb? Probably none of us. So there's probably some grace for that. You could get it with other families, obviously, or friends, but you're not allowed to break its bones. So, but I think that Yah would have grace for that. Hallelujah. It says, the lamb shall be perfect. This is in the Targum, okay? Now, I only reference these books as if they agree with the 66 and Jubilees, because Jubilees I put on par with Genesis. It's law, because it has the numbers in it. It's a beautiful book. Same with Enoch. All right, it agrees with all its math. Those two books, their math agrees. All right. And it shall be bound and reserved for you until the 14th day of the month, that you may know the fear of the Mitzri Rei when they see it, and they shall kill him according to the right of all the congregation of the assembly of Israel between the suns. So that means when the sun has gone down and before the sun comes up on the next day. So that even refines it more. So we've got 3 tightenings of or focusings of the lens to get it perfectly clear when you're eating it. Am I making sense, family? Is that giving you clarity? I hope so. Because I had to study all these years to be completely assured of it, and study when the day begins, Yahusha the first light. I mean, I have had to go back and forth, like refocusing the lens, tightening the focus, tightening the, nuts on the ship, until I could really get this clearly in focus. So I hope you appreciate it. And it says you eat the flesh on that night. Okay, the 15th. All right, so I hope that makes sense. Until the dividing of the night roasted with fire. So it's really this time, this beautiful twilight here that we see. And it's so funny what Yah does when he has me do art, because it's like there's usually revelation in it. So this is the color of the sky. This is the 2 sticks, right? The deliverance of the 2 sticks, which will be for around a time of Exodus, right? But this is the twilight. And what this light means, it's called Ereb, which means a mixing. So a mixing of light and darkness. All right. It's the same word actually for Arab. All right. Because the Arabs are actually mixed. All right. So let's proceed with this study. And it says this is an eternal ordinance. All right. And it says at exactly the same time, a fixed time yearly, says Jubilees 49 and 14, that it's at the exact same time every year. So if the moon is always out of sync, how can this be at the exact same time every year, family? I really don't know. And so nothing of it is to remain until the morning. So the morning is when the whole sun is above the horizon. All right. And the evening is when the whole sun is below the horizon. I used to teach that it was halfway in between, but I have greater understanding. I could be wrong, but it seems to be clearer than me. And you shall eat it with your loins girded, with your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Passover. So that means that your loins are girded about with truth. You have on the full armor of Yahuwah, and you are clothed in righteousness of Yahusha HaMashiach, and you have the blood of Yahusha covering you today. For I will pass through the land of Egypt and smite the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment. I am Yahuwah your Elohim. And the blood shall be for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, and I will smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast unto Yahuwah for your generations, and ye shall keep it a feast and an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread, even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. So you clean leaven out of your houses, as I said in the beginning. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from that from the first day until the 17th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. Sorry about the noise, fam. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation. In the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation unto you. So what does that mean? Because it was after, it was on, so from the first day, the 14th, all the way to the 7th day. So there are 2 Shabbats. This is a holy convocation. So if you're like, I got to take time off, make sure you have the 13th, the 14th. Sorry, it's a little late, but this was in the calendar. 13th, the 14th, and the 20th you must take off. And this is the day, towards this day, that the women went. I have to turn off my, I have to turn off my email because it's making all kinds of noise. My apologies. This is the day that the women went towards first fruits to anoint and find Yahusha, and he was gone. So they had done the entire Shabbat. I've forgotten what it's called, family. Excuse me. Shabbaton. They had done the entire sequence of the Moedim, and so now they had come to seek to anoint his body. All right? It was on this day. First fruits. All right? Let me just catch myself up here. Just give me a minute. And in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation to you. So that is also a Shabbaton, because it is a set apart special Shabbat, even though it is a so-called 6th day. It is a set apart special Shabbat. So you're going to have like a Shabbat the day after that, and then first fruits the day after that. So that's a lot of, it wasn't completely complete. I don't know why they compromised. It's maybe something hidden, but maybe they were just like, look, we did Passover, you know, we can compromise on first fruits because we got to get the man of Elohim into, you know, properly anoint him. And of course he was gone. So they didn't even have to break it. They were clean. Hallelujah. Yah is faithful. So, so they end up in there on first fruits. And perhaps that's a mystery. Hallelujah. I think Yah just gave it to me. They weren't unclean, but they were willing to sacrifice their cleanness to clean the Savior. Hallelujah. And so there's a second Passover for anybody who cannot celebrate this Passovers because they have been near a dead body or they're out of town. All right. And so that's in 49:21 here. All right. And so again,
All right, fam. So I keep reviewing this over and over again, and you know, it's so intricate, but it seems that the women it's like there's a break, because when you look at the 7 days, let me just show you something. Let's add this to the stage. Let me see. All right. So when we look at this calendar, right? If the, sorry, I've got 2 screens, so it can get a little confusing. So if this is the first day of unleavened bread at the eve, so the day brackets like this, it's kind of in between the days because the eve is here to this eve, right? You start eating it in this eve on the Friday, and you have preparation day to get all of the leaven out of your house. Then the eve starts, and that's officially beginning the Shabbat day on the next day, right? And so you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So you actually would end unleavened bread on the eve of the so-called Thursday, right? Because you started at the eve of the so-called Friday. So if they saw, and that might mark the official end of unleavened bread. And so they might have a time in here where they, before Shabbat, and you know, after the day, like towards the evening or something when they could have done it, or it may have been over here towards first fruits. Sometimes I have to actually study these things for about 2 years before I actually figure it out. So it is a bit complicated, but it's a 7-day feast, and it starts the eve of the Friday. So then it would end the day of the following Friday, if that makes sense. Okay. And then the next day is a Shabbat. All right. I hope that makes sense. And I'm looking at your comments. Yeah, in terms of food, fam, let's put up some of your comments on what kind of food that you have. And what we might just do, fam, is we're almost through this study, and we might just present the second portion tomorrow. So let me know what kind of foods you guys put up as we just continue quickly with this. So as
There's the
I
Exodus
said,
song of Passover, which I've sang in videos. Go and maybe I'll put it as a link in this video later on. I'll add it and you'll see it in the pull down. All right. And so a little more on the Feast of Unleavened Bread. In the first month, on the 14th, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. 7 days there shall be no leaven in your houses, for whosoever shall eat that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel. So get the leaven out of your house once again, family. And just Google the things that could be leaven in your house just to make sure. I've found almost every year I find some leaven in the house. After I'm like, oh my gosh, I couldn't get that out of here. So it's a good idea to research it. We all make mistakes. We're all still learning. All right. So we went over a lot of this already, and that this is the eve of the Shabbat. On the eve of the Passover and unleavened bread, you do the Last Supper. And so 1 Corinthians 11:24-27 says, when he had given thanks, he broke the bread, he took it and ate it and said, this is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. And after the same manner, he also took the cup, and which he had sopped, saying, this cup is the Brit Hadashah, the renewed covenant in my blood. Do this ye as often as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show Yahusha's death till he come. For whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of Yahuwah unworthily shall be guilty of the body and the blood of Yahusha. So we do have to purify ourselves, and that's why it's good that there's a fast right in between, okay? And we think on his death, and we think of the errors that all of the apostles made. Remember, poor Peter with the cock crowing and all of that sort of thing. And so the first and seventh day of this convocation, you should do no work. All right? So that would be on the Pesach, but obviously you're working on the animal. And then on the actual last day of unleavened bread, so-called 6th day, Friday. And then the next day is another Shabbat. So it's really, like I said, it's got 1, 2, 3 high Shabbats in it, and 4 if we include first fruits. So for first fruits, this is a holy convocation. This is continuing right afterwards in the chapter. Speak unto the children in Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I give unto you, you shall reap the harvest thereof, and then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And so here is a subscript on it. The flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bold. So this is a reference to it in Exodus 31, 9 and 31. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath. The priest shall wave it, and ye shall offer it that day when ye shall wave the sheaf, and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahuwah. So this is the 8th day, and you have some more lamb. You have some more lamb. All right. And then you shall number unto yourselves from the day after the Sabbath, from the day on which ye shall offer the sheaf of the heave offering, 7 full weeks, until the morrow after the last week ye shall number 50 days, and shall bring a new meat offering unto Yahuwah. So what this is pointing to is, I already showed this to you guys. You have first fruits, and you lift up to Yahuwah that offering. You wave that offering of barley up to Yahuwah as a heave offering. And you, from this day, you can count 7 weeks. So 7 Shabazs. Okay, 7 weeks. So it's kind of like Sheba's name. It's interesting how Sheba's name is weak, Queen Sheba, but it's also the name of the god of destruction in the other religions. It's really interesting, these parallels, because Satan copies everything Yahuwah does. All right, so I hope that's clear to you guys. So we count, I'm going to go over it. We count 1 week.
All right, fam. I just want to show you my calendar again, this year's calendar. So let's take a look at that. All right, so now we count the 7 weeks. And I just want to say this before we count the 7 weeks. I don't think that it matters that like, let's say you just get a cut up piece of lamb, you get a leg of lamb or whatever. It doesn't matter, because Yahusha is the sacrifice. So we need to worry about unbroken legs and all that kind of thing, or all the appurtenances, and because you're no longer doing the official sacrifice, because Yahusha was the sacrifice. It's like eating the lamb now is symbolic. But you want to eat the lamb in obedience. And obviously, if we were in true Israel, we could do everything correctly and properly. You hear what I'm saying? And have the priests do a correct sacrifice. So just giving you that point of clarification. I don't want anybody getting too locked up on that. And also, when Yahusha did the unleavened bread, he began the beginning of the feast of unleavened bread, but he didn't actually get to consume the Passover sacrifice, because he was it. And so I guess he'll actually eat the Passover with us in the kingdom, because they do offerings in the kingdom. We know, because all of Israel will have seething pots, and they'll be the Levites for the whole planet. And they'll be doing all of these feasts and festivals, and they will be doing sin offerings and everything for the people dwelling outside the kingdom. So Yahuwah will participate with us at that time. A rack of lamb how much is a rack of lamb? If you want to put a price in there, I haven't been over to the store. Lamb is like almost twice what it was like 7 years ago, or, around the time of 2019. So I have some little lamb chops just for me, Lamb burgers. Ooh, yeah, those are my favorite. Lamb burger, red stripe. Ooh, I love lamb burgers. I love them. Or those lamb pita things, when you put them in the pita pocket. Oh my gosh. But you can't have a burger, because it needs to be unleavened bread. So it is a pita pocket lamb burger. Oh, maybe I'll do that for one of the days, or throughout the week. I was like lamb kebabs, with lots of lemon. I love the rosemary. So we can talk about that in a second, fam, if you want. I can invite some of you up if you want to talk about what you make and the food and stuff like that, because we're almost through this. But anyway, so let's track this, fam. So you start here with the first fruits, right? And so now you're counting towards Shabbaot. And then you count from the first Shabbat. So that's where it is. Okay. And then you go to the next month. And that's the second Shabbat is here. Third, fourth, fifth. And then you're all the way into the 6th. is here on the 3rd of the month, which is, sorry, I have two screens and I get a little confused. And so the 7th Shabbat is Shabbaot, and then the first day, you do the eve. So that's the eve of Shabbaot over to the day of Shabbaot, which is first day. And so that's how you count those 49 days. That's how you count those 49 days from first fruits. And of course, Yahusha was the first fruit. All right. And you can always like heave up your barley or just have some barley with you. I love barley. I absolutely love barley and barley malt and stuff like that. They have barley malted in Jamaica and stuff. They have it here too. But, don't forget to do your wave offerings and heave offerings on this particular day. Okay. And then you count towards Shabbaot. I hope that makes sense. So let's go back to the study. I can't tell when I'm on my other screen or on it's kind of confusing. All right. So I'll remove this and we'll go back to the study.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. And so, 6 weeks and then 7 weeks. And so that's the Shabbat Eve. And sorry, I forgot I had all the other weeks before this. So that's the 7th week, the days before this. And so then this is when you have Shavuot. So the Eve is on the Shabbat, and then the Shavuot is on the so-called first day. And actually, Shavuot was celebrated in heaven on the first day. Just FYI. But that's we'll talk about that when Shavuot comes up. And so family, I hope that gives you some clarity, some clarification. I don't think I've been on here for too long. Let me know if you have questions. I know I've got to get another broadcast app that'll enable you guys to ask questions especially with respect to the calendar, because I know it can be very challenging. Nonetheless, if you want to get the calendar, you go here to the shop page on Into All Truth, and you can find the calendar here. And if you get the calendar and the cookbook, both of them mishpachah, then if you do get them, then you automatically become a member. And when I say there's an update, you don't have to worry about getting the password to the updated calendar and all that, because that can be a bit tedious. But yeah, so here it is if you get both of them. And then I have a great recipe in here in the Chaya Eat Life and Fast for a really good bitter herb dressing, which doesn't taste bitter because I put cilantro in it. And I don't have a recipe for lamb in there, but I suggest you cook your lamb with perhaps lemon and rosemary, because rosemary is a very bitter herb. It's really good for detoxifying the body. Cilantro is as well. Let me see if I can bring that book up for you guys, family. Chaya Eat Life and Fast, because there's some good recipes in it. Now I do use, there's some leaven in some recipes, so you just want to double check for that. But I'm going to bring it out for you guys.
Family, I want to say this. You could also use lavender. A lot of people are cooking with lavender now, and lavender is it tastes very much like rosemary. It tastes very similar. It tastes more lavendery in something. If you make ice cream with it or something, it tastes sweeter. It's a very interesting herb. But when you cook something like salmon, or you cook, for example, lamb with it, it will kind of taste like rosemary. And it is also a bitter herb if you're interested in trying something different. Also in my dressing, I will put peppermint leaves in your dressing, which makes things, really fresh and sprightly, like, especially if you have like cucumber and tomato salad and, You cannot use vinegar. So remember, just lemon juice or lime juice. And if you want something a little sweeter with more bottom, then just, that's why I make my mango dressing. I really recommend it. It's like, yeah, give me that recipe, man, for Passover. And it's the best. I call it like my Passover dressing. It's so good. So I put mango, orange, like lime, lemon, peppermint, and basically basil, basically pesto stuff in it. Okay. And so it's very hearty, and I'll just eat it throughout the week, and it tastes really good. But anyway, let me continue with this. Yeah. Let me know if you have questions, family, because I'm not seeing any questions. Let me know if you understand this. I'm always nervous when you guys don't have questions. I'm like, are you guys listening? Are you getting it? So please let me know. Let me know if you have questions. Very important, because it can be very challenging for people, to understand. For me, it's been challenging to understand this calendar. For me, it's been challenging. So, and even when I was listening last week to my guest, I was kind of saying, wasn't understanding everything he was saying. I had to go back and study it myself. He did I wanted him to come back this week, but I have not heard from him. But I did want to show him how the day works out. And he actually helped me to clarify the day again, So here's Chaya Eat Life and Fast. I hope you guys can see that. There's people online. That's people going online to look up the calendar. That's what that sound is, fam. So here's Chaya Eat Life and Fast. And so, I go into fasting, Hebraic health, human microbiome, functional living, food prep, procession of life. I have all these articles, but first of all, I start with recipes and so on. All right. I can't wait, Malakia. I can't wait until we're all together and we have our potluck. You know what I'm saying? It's like, y'all can have some of my mango dressing. I can't wait till we're all cooking together. It's just going to be so wonderful. I really can't wait. The mature folks. And, let me just continue with this study, but I kind of think maybe I should be teaching this more interactively with people with an interviewee to see if they're getting it. And that might help a little bit more. Or it just may be that you guys are all obedient and other people are not. I don't know. Probably somewhere in between it all lies. But anyway, so here's continuing with what's in this book, in the lifestyle, because it is a lifestyle and cookbook, talks about fasting and everything. Right. So I talk about the Hebraic lifestyle, cleansing juices. There's all kinds of sauces. So green sauce is a really good catch-all sauce that I just often just put it in a dressing because it's got parsley, cilantro, basil, jalapeno, thyme, sometimes in it, garlic. So you can just throw it into any dressing or throw it to baste anything, on anything to baste anything. But let me see, where is my dressing? Oh, this isn't the one. This is just a preview. Let me see if I can find Chaya Eat Life and Fast. All right, hopefully this is it. Hopefully this is it. Yeah, this is it. It's got 96 pages. All right. Put your questions in the chat, family. Please, please do. I don't want to leave you out in the cold. So there's desserts and everything. I think I need to maybe minimize this a bit, so you can see one page. All right. So we've got breakfasts, that are good for your gut. Fasting juices. Right now I'm drinking tamarind juice. This is a great recipe. Cleansing juices like Gerson green juice, cactus juice. This is dressings, sauces, and ferments. Now we don't want any ferments because it's Passover, but this is my perfect Passover mango orange herb dressing. You can go and watch a video on this on my Live Light Well channel, my other channel.
And I go into this recipe, but it's really, really good. I love it because you put mango, orange, lime, a cucumber, maple syrup, and you put in the green sauce that I told you about, which is kind of a staple for the West Indians, but it's basically pesto without nuts and with some jalapeno pepper instead. And so you mix that in, and then you can have that on top of any salad with your flatbread. I also have a flatbread recipe in here. See, I've got all these various sauces and everything. And let's find the flatbread recipe. Now, I do have Irish moss in here, and I don't know that it's really Hebraic because it is a seaweed. And seaweeds are spore driven like mushrooms. So, all right, family. So I go over these various recipes, really healthy food. These are the most amazing power bars / dessert bar you'll ever have in your life. I used to eat this once a week at one point. I would make this so hearty. But here we have like the flatbread, the unleavened bread. You can use kamut, spelt, or encorn. You use an original grain family. And all it is water and oil and salt and flour. You don't add any leaven, and there's instructions here on how to make it. I make it in the oven on a hot skillet, and I put it in the oven and flip it on there. And the book goes into the benefits of fasting, and healing reactions is really important to know about. These are also on my Live Light Well page on my site. So when you are fasting, to understand healing reactions and ways to deal with them. So a healing reaction is when you get a weird symptom from fasting or detoxing. You get like a rash, or you feel nauseous or something like that. There are really good ways to deal with that. And so they're listed here. You can take bentonite clay, you can do an enema, get out in the sun, castor oil. A lot of these things will reduce those symptoms. And we talk about the liver. And of course, your liver, actually, the organ, it corresponds to glory, the glory of Yahuwah, purity. So you find when you fast, Yahuwah speaks to you more because your liver is cleansed. I have stuff on earthing. Also, how to prepare for end times with natural herb and healing products, all that kind of stuff. But the good news is there's some really good recipes in here, and there's good juices and stuff like that. But always check it, for leaven if you're going to make something. If you have West Indian hot pepper sauce, hummus is something you can always have on the Passover. I have real pesto sauce, but I do have things with leaven in it. So just not everything on here is without leaven or perfectly kosher, because I do include Irish moss. So that's Chai, Eat, Life, and Fast. So if you get that and you get the calendar, then you automatically become a member, and you can just regularly download the updates. So, family, why am I not seeing any comments?
All right. So, fam, what do you think? Should we just go on? Because it's a bit late now. We're almost at 2 hours. And the little piece I prepared for everybody on the pyramids of Giza and everything, I think maybe I should postpone that to tomorrow evening. And if anyone, should I put out a link and you guys can come up and, like Malakia, you could come up and talk about your recipes and so on, or Sister Kelly, or anybody who would want to contribute in terms of, excuse me, how you do your Passover, like how you prepare your food, when you prepare your food, any, advice. I know Sister Kelly is pretty organized about her meal, preparing her stuff. And also, she's already been taking her stuff out. I've organized all of my stuff to take it out. I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. You know, I have a storage, so you know, I have to just make sure that I have enough ice and everything in there. Most of it's obviously shamuts. It's leaven, so it's not going to go bad because it's got leaven in it, right? That's what preserves it. So I'll do that tomorrow morning and get it out of the house, because the official Passover is, you know, the unleavened bread is starting at sundown, right? As the sun is going down between the evening. So that means this is why it's like, it's really interesting how Yah has, this is why everything is on the Shabbats. They all correspond with the Shabbats. And you see the Pentecost or Shabbaoth lines up with the first day. And it was actually celebrated on the first day with the angels. So they're always, these appointed times are always at the same time. Always at the same time. And so you can't really have, the preparation day also lines up with these appointed times, because, and the Last Supper lines up with the appointed time, because the Last Supper points back to preparation day. Essentially, Yahusha was being prepared by the 12 apostles, and also that one woman, Mary, who poured the anointing oil on him, prepared. He was being prepared for his death. The lamb was taken. There's even more in the scripture which refers to the 10th day, when he tells, I think it's on the 10th day that he rides on the donkey, or that he tells the guys to go and get this donkey, and then they do the whole palm branches thing. But everything really lines up with him preparing to be this offering. Kelly is driving. So family, I think we should wait for tomorrow. I know this was a bit of a teaser, but this is really important. And let me know, what do you think, family? Do you think that I should just maybe have somebody up here that I'm teaching these things to? Does it make the interactive process, does that make it easier? Because even for me, like I said, you know, when I'm learning from other people, I have questions. Hey, Shalom Azaryahu. Hey, Malakia and Azaryahu, I would love it if you guys would email me if you would want to be part of a prayer group. It seems like it's just like kind of very mature Gen Xers, maybe, you know. But yeah, Azaryahu, it says, this is a future prophecy. How do you see the scriptures concerning the circumcision of the heart and flesh? So is that in relation to the coming of Mashiach? Or because in Zechariah, it says that no uncircumcised Gentile can enter into the assembly in the kingdom. So it does say that. So circumcision is still required in the 1,000-year reign. And that's part of the law for participating in the Passover. One law for the stranger. So, and when we refer, like Yah was showing this to me, and now I'm so into the New Testament. He was showing me in the book of Acts, I think it was, but yeah, it's when they are having that huge debate with Paul, and they're trying to say that, let me just find the scripture. Because it's when Paul is, Acts 15 and 21, when Paul is being accused by the Jews of saying that he's teaching against the circumcision and all this kind of stuff. And what happens is that, oh shoot, I just had it. What did I say? Acts 15:21. Yah is teaching me more and more to just remember this stuff. So, all right, let me get this out there for you guys so you can take a look at it. All right, let me just get into it here. And yeah, we're going to postpone the second part of the study on the pyramids for tomorrow evening, again, maybe around 6 or 7, so I can get the corners of my floors clean. I'm like, I'll clean the house and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I got to wipe out these corners. But anyway, all right, so let me just grab this. Let's see, let's take this down. And let's remove this. And let's shoot. Add to stage, add to stage. What am I doing here? I'm trying to present. And then it says invite guest. Oh, maybe I have too many of these up there. Hold on, fam. Just 1 second. I'm just forgetting how to work this thing. All right. Present. What am I doing wrong here? So we're going to... Okay, it's saying video stop. I just need to look at a window. Why can't I do it? Okay. I'm not sure why I can't. Maybe I'm limited in the number of screens I can show. I don't know.
That's why Satan looked.
Okay, let's just see if this works. I'm trying to screen share slides and PDFs. I don't know why it's not letting me invite a guest image file.
You guys are just watching. Are you shy? Am I that bad?
Okay, let me just see here. I don't know why I can't add to stage. Remove from studio. You guys got a little peek at me. Present. Oh, I have to do, oh, now it's letting me share screen. I guess there's only a number of things I can show you guys. Okay, so here we are in chapter 15. And this is in answer to your question, my brother Eliezer. Let me just zoom this in a bit here. You guys see that better. I hope that's better. Okay, so you go all the way down. And so he's getting into trouble. This is when Paul is getting into trouble because they get into this dissension. So Barnabas, what miracles? Okay, so what they talk about is the great miracles and wonders wrought among the Gentiles. And then they say what great miracles Yah did when he first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. So of course, whenever they're saying, you know, that Yah, this is one of the many examples where it's clear Yah has also grafting in the Gentiles. But what is said here is that what is agreed upon is, it says that regarding these things like the circumcision, because it says that he's not teaching the law of Moses and he's not teaching circumcision, I believe. Here, let me just make sure I've got this as the right chapter. After the manner, except ye be circumcised. Yeah, that's the subject. Okay, so here it is. Ooh, family, it is hot in here. Hold on 1 second, because I had the oven on and now it's just roasting. I need to turn this. Sorry if I turn the fan on, but it's really hot in here. And I've got a flannel shirt on. All right, so certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren and said, except ye be circumcised after the manner of Moses, ye cannot be saved. So circumcision is not a requirement for salvation. Yahusha is the circumcision of the heart. It's by him that your heart is circumcised. However, circumcision is still taught. And this is why so they're saying there rose up a sect of Pharisees which believe, saying that it's needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses. And the apostles and elders came together to consider this matter. And when there had been much disputing, Peter rose up and said unto them, men and brethren, you know how a good while ago Yahuwah made choice among us that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe. Now, already Peter had been sent to them, but this was Paul's special assignment. All right. And and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. So here's the answer, is that faith in Yahushua HaMashiach and his blood sacrifice by the Ruach HaKodesh is the circumcision of the heart, right? So it's by grace you are saved through faith and not by works. So it's not the work of circumcision that saves you anymore, because now the Gentiles are a part of it. And then he says, how do you tempt Yahuwah? By putting a yoke upon the neck of a disciple, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear. And remember, Abraham was elected before he was circumcised, right? So his election came before the circumcision by the grace of Yah. So again, that's by grace that we're saved and not of ourselves. Oh yeah, okay, so Malachiah has Paul tell you that if you let yourselves be circumcised, Mashiach be of no value to you. I just love you and Azariahu. I just love these brothers, man. These real men. Hallelujah. You guys have the scriptures just on tap. I testify again to every man who receives circumcision that he is bound to keep the whole law. All right. So that's if circumcision is a requirement of salvation, if you're making it, this is the law of death, the sin of sin and death. Now, what if you got saved and you died? What if you received Mashiach and you just died on the spot, like something happened? Well, if you weren't circumcised, you would be saved? No, that would put you under the law. But we're under the Spirit. And so the Spirit and Yahusha circumcise the heart. All right. And so here is the last word on this. So what he says is that wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them from which among the Gentiles are turned to Elohim, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols and from fornication and from things strangled and from blood. Now, this is exactly what Noah is told when the rainbow covenant is made after the great flood. He says the same thing, to eat no blood and I think restrain from, don't break the law, like don't fornicate, right? So it says, for Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day. So it says, and then it pleased the apostles and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, etc., etc. So, and they wrote letters after this manner. So what is being said here is that this is the beginning of the Gentiles' understanding of the law and those Israelites returning, right? Because the law has not passed away. Is that a contradiction? No, because the law for Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day. So what they're saying is give them this basic, and then they should go to hear the law on the Sabbath because it's being taught in the synagogues in every city. And so then they'll get a greater understanding of the law. Is that making sense? So they're not under the law in the sense that if they dropped dead the day they got saved, they wouldn't be saved because they weren't circumcised. Because it says the flesh profiteth nothing. And that's why salvation is to the Yehudi first and then the Gentile. Because obedience to the law is the evidence of your faith, but then you should seek to pursue the law. And that's why it says that there is one law for the stranger and Israel, because it is required of them that they are circumcised in order to participate in this Passover. And so I think that is the circumcision of the heart. But because we see in Zechariah, and let me know if you want, actually, I'll ask one of you guys to bring out those scriptures. So the scripture in Zechariah that says no uncircumcised Gentile will enter the assembly. It's literally what it says. That's during the 1,000-year reign. So circumcision, it's an act of obedience. It's not a condition of salvation. All right. And but in the kingdom, it's going to be an act of obedience that is the evidence of your faith in your salvation in Mashiach, right? It's a physical manifestation of your obedience. It's like faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, but faith without works is dead. So that's the evidence. Is that making sense? Yeah. Hallelujah. Malakia. Praise Yah. So he just doesn't want us all caught up in the external manifestation of the law rather than the internal work of the Ruach HaKodesh, if that makes sense, fam. He wants the Spirit to be working in us to will and act according to his good pleasure. And that's, you may start the obedience by an outward act, but it should first be motivated by the Spirit within, by a heart of obedience, but not simply outward lawfulness. I hope that makes sense, family. So, once again, go over to the website, grab a calendar. I thank you for all of you who support me and, updated your memberships and stuff in the last few days. I really appreciate it. It's such a blessing. And let's just see how much more I have left in this study. I don't know if I do have anything left here.
I think I scare people. Sometimes I do mean to, because I get a lot of weirdos coming on the channel.
Sorry if this is loud, the fan behind me.
Like I'll do it for the Hebrews, right? But and so you buy a membership. This is all in Canadian dollars. Okay, so it's basically 30% off for Americans and more than that for people in the UK or Europe, because your currencies are worth more than the Canadian. So 30% or more off if you're coming from a country with a different currency. And so this is how you sign up for monthly membership. That helps my ministry because it's consistent and it's stable. And then you can watch all of the videos that you see on my channel, and they're much kind of better organized here on the Into All Truth page. So you can see, all of the latest videos, and then everything is categorized. So when you click on them, you'll click through to them. And there's a special page for the women of Israel. All right, to watch videos about the women of Israel. Okay. Yeah, and then here is the Live Light Well page. So if you're interested in finding out about health and wellness and detoxing, a lot of stuff that is in my book is on here, but not in as much detail. And you can also find all the videos for the food, for the dressings and juices and stuff like that. They're here. Okay. So that you might want to go there instead of to my other channel. It's up to you entirely. And when we have the membership page, so I'd have to sign in, but oh yeah, I am automatically signed in. So here's all the files that you have access to once you become a member. I don't give all of my PDFs and lessons away because I'm trying to write books, and then here's where you sign up for prayer. I'm going to start praying regularly because we're getting into it, family. And I just love to pray, and especially with other people. Hallelujah. And so we're going to be getting into that prayer and praise. And of course.
So I am going to hopefully be doing some prayer on the Shabbat. I'm not sure. There's just some people in my assembly who are going through some stuff right now. And so I might open it up. So send me an email if you would like to pray on the Shabbat, the Passover day coming up, day after tomorrow. And so just shoot me an email if you would like to do that. I just am really looking for, the usual people who watch my channel, very mature, usually kind of Gen Xers, not all, obviously, but mature in the faith, a bit older, and you just like to pray and fast together and be, in agreement. Really small group, really, 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 really teeny tiny group. And most of you guys, I think, are older than me, which is a blessing. So it's just like being, with family. I'm the youngest child, so I feel like I'm with family when I'm with my older brothers and sisters in the faith. So, and I'm almost 60, so we're getting up there, fam. We're getting up there. So thank you so much for watching, fam. If anybody feels like they want to come up, and Malakiat, would love to have you. And of course, Eliezer, we would love to have you too, so that we have more of our brothers, because we do need that. We like to have the men in there. And I really want to say, regarding the men, I feel like I always have to say this because I don't want you guys to be discouraged, because you guys are the shining stars. I really think a lot of brothers are damaged by the whole forwarding of the affliction. But I also think there's a lot of Edomites out there masquerading as Israel and just being really bad all the time and giving a bad name to the brothers, or talking bad about the sisters. I believe we see that in the camps. The camps, I believe, are run by Ishmaelites or Edomites. And they're not set up. They're not true Israel. And there's just too many good brothers who are Israel, who are out there. And especially now, like more and more, just challenging the conduct, like holding each other accountable more and more now. So I'm really grateful. A lot of people are just like, just be the truth. And a lot of brothers just do that. But holding men accountable is part of that too, because that's what the law was there for. The law was there to say, it was a physical way to be like, okay, the line is here, you've crossed it, and so we're putting you to death, or we're putting you out of the assembly, the camp, whatever. So it is part of obedience to the law is to hold men accountable, because the whole nation turns on the men. The men are the leaders. So when the nation is failing, when the nation is doing right, it is always under the leadership of the men. No matter what is going on, it's male leadership is happening. And no matter how much the sisters abstain and obey Torah and keep their, hold things down, it's still, the men are always leading regardless. It talks about how women will rule over you in sin, but women also lead in righteousness. And so anyway, all that to say that I'm just waiting and watching as Yah is turning a lot of the brothers around. And I'm grateful for the men who come to this channel and support this channel. And also for just like the level of your understanding and everything. And for the things that people who come to this channel teach me. And really, most of all, for your support, your prayers, but just showing up, because the thing that grieves my heart the most or encourages it outside of Yahuwah is to know that people are in the truth. And so when people come to the channel, it just confirms that, it affirms that. But it is a lot of Gen Xers. It is a lot of kind of people in their 50s and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. But family, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching again, especially my brothers and my beautiful moderator, my sister, Kelly. And yeah, so just go ahead and sign up for some prayer on the prayer page on the blog, or just send me an email if you're already a member or whatever. Just send me an email. Send me an email to the website email. Like I should be able to get it. I don't know, something's kind of wrong with my email at the moment. I don't know what's going on, but my other emails. But yeah, definitely through the website, and say, yes, I would like to pray on Shabbat. And then tomorrow evening, fam, I think we'll just continue with the rest of this study, which I already did the video. So I might just tidy it up a bit, or I'll just do a live, and then I'll invite certain people to come on up and participate. Shalom, Tracy. Yeah, and thank you all. Thank you as well for watching Pilot of J. Thank you, all of you guys. And so I guess I'll do my sign off here. I'd like to lower the ark and just say, Subah Yahuwah, Rev Aleph Yasharel. Return, O Yahuwah, to the countless thousands of Israel. So let's just play that. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your donations. Please like, subscribe, and share, or go to intoalltruth.net to get our appointed times calendar so you can keep the appointed times at the right time.
Let all of Yasharah, Yisrael, who love, worship, and praise Yahweh, give him thanks by saying hallelujah.
All right, fam. Love you in Yahuwah. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, Malakia says camps paid George Soros. How do you know that? Please send me a link to that information. They're all part of the same thing, though, because he's a EW with a J on the front. And remember, they literally trademarked EW with a J on the front, trademarked BLM. And then remember when TLC, Thoughts Camera Action, was around, he proved that one of the financiers, I think it was of GOCC, was an EW with a J on the front. So, and that leader of IUIC, go and look at Kagame. Go and look at those Ethiopians, like, who are really Amalekites or whatever, or Kagame. He looks like Kagame. You know what I mean? Like the face structure is not the same. He doesn't look the same. Doesn't look like Israel. And I know everyone's like, you're one to talk. You got like green eyes and you got your fair skin and everything. But it's like, I don't know. Yah works in mysterious ways, but I just see these people. I'm like, that's not them. That's not Israel. He's not Israel. And same with, I mean, I don't know for sure, but Yah just keeps, I mean, you're wearing a turban. Like you look like all of the guys in the, the European images of the Black Moors, the Ishmaelites, and then you all are teaching Joseph is the daddy. And you are what your father is. The statement, you are what your father is a Muslim mantra. It's literally written in one of the Muslim documents. You are what your father is. Now, of course, you are the seed of the father. You're called the daughter of your father, but the seed of the woman matters too, because it's the seed of the woman who's at enmity with the seed of the enemy. And Yah uses the woman also. And Yah is an Elohim of balance. And so, these are the men who look for salvation through their member. And Yah talks about in Wisdom of Solomon, the expanding breed of the polygamists, like of other nations. And he makes, like, Yehuda is the salvific tribe. Not all 12 tribes, just him. Isaac was the one and only son. Jacob was the one and only son. And Judah is the one and only son. Yah is not looking for somebody to be multiplying tons and tons and tons of people, even though the seed does multiply, the seed of Israel. But these guys have the standard is their member, their phalos. Whereas Yahusha, like that's denying the divinity of Yahusha. So salvation is just for them in something in themselves, literally in the flesh. And so then they teach that it's just everyone knows that. I mean, it's like, I'm the one who's not so bright here. I'm the one who I know it, and most people do too. And everyone just proceeds accordingly. Right. So family, but I would love to have information on that. Camps paid George Soros, Malakia. Shalom, my brother. And so I'm going to just say shalom again, fam, before I get myself in more trouble with my mouth. All right. And we'll see you tomorrow. All right. Worst case scenario, something stops me from teaching it tomorrow. I will teach it on first day. All right. Or maybe Shabbat Eve. Okay. But we'll just see. Just keep an eye out and do email me regarding prayer. Shalom, fam. Thanks for watching. Kathy Harris is 68. Yeah, Gen Xers. Thanks for watching, fam. Shalom.